Alright, today I gotta switch out the ceiling fan, so I'm just gonna video it a little bit. Maybe somebody out there trying to put up a regular light, replacing their ceiling fan that's all wore out, wobbly, whatever. The ceiling fan in the man cave here is a little low, so I want to get rid of the fan and put like a real flush mount light in here. That way it doesn't feel as claustrophobic. So I'm going to start taking this apart. I'm going to at least need a screwdriver, and possibly if you can get somebody to help hold this ceiling fan for you. There is a bracket up there that's going to hold it, but we're going to have to take that down. So I'm going to try to hold it in one hand and do it, but if you had a helper, that would definitely make it easy on you. So first thing we got to do is take this cap off the top. There should be 2 screws on each side. And I got this ceiling fan used, so it didn't have the correct screws on there to hold the faceplate up to the ceiling, so they're a little bit harder to get out than what you should be dealing with. Just gonna let that drop down. That'll stay on there until you can drop the ceiling fan down, but you can kind of see the bracket that it's resting on right there. It kind of just lifts up and out of that bracket. But right now we're going to take ceiling fan down, so I've got to actually, you want to make sure you got the breaker flipped. Possibly if you can put a bulb in there, turn your ceiling fan on and then flip your breaker, and that way you'll know for sure you don't have power to it, or if you got some way of checking it, a power meter or something like that will work as well. Alright, so now that I've verified that I got no power going to the ceiling fan, I'm going to actually try to lift it out of that bracket, but first I want to disconnect my wires. That way I can pretty much take it directly out of here after I do that. So for the most part, your wiring should all be the same. Your ceiling fan will have an extra wire on it because you got to power the light and the ceiling fan as well as your ground. So normally on your ceiling fan, if you're actually wiring a ceiling fan up, your blue wire will go to your black, which is your hot. So you'll have a blue and a black wire coming off of your ceiling fan, and that will be to your black wire. If you don't have a blue wire, some of your houses, newer houses and stuff, they're going to have an extra wire with a switch on it so you can just turn your ceiling fan on and off. This one doesn't, so. You get your wires disconnected, go ahead and put your caps back on there. We did verify zero energy, but it's always a good idea to just go ahead and slip your caps back on there. It'll take 2 seconds. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say caps, there's these little twisty caps here that that's going to hold your wires together. It also keeps them from touching each other and things like that. So. Alright, now that we got the wires disconnected, like I said, this is where it'd be good to have a helper, but we're going to go ahead and I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to pick this up out of the bracket. The wires are already disconnected, and then it should just drop out. It'll slide up and over. And then bring it down just like that. Now all that we have left is a ceiling fan bracket, and you still have your wires coming out of the ceiling. Basically on your ceiling fan bracket too, one thing I want to mention is some of them come with this little hook here. That's kind of to hook on to the ceiling fan to hold it there and hang it while you wire it back up. So like I said, if some of you are watching this video to hang a ceiling fan, you could probably go by this video to figure that out, but this is more of a reinstall of a light. Now all that's left of the ceiling fan is the bracket that's still up on the ceiling, so I'm going to go ahead and take that down, and then we'll get ready to start on our light. Alright, so I just went to Walmart and got a cheap little flush mount light. I was more so concerned with how close it would be to the ceiling, like I said, than looks. It did come with an LED bulb, which is, I guess, the norm now. Bulbs are getting expensive, so that saved a little money on that, but that's everything on that. This is our bracket here that's going to attach to where we had the ceiling fan bracket and stuff before. Instructions. Hopefully we won't need those. And we've got our glass enclosure. Shouldn't need that to last. On this one here, the way it works is it's got these tabs that kind of move sideways and allow you to put your glass top up in there, and then you'll just kind of move them back. It almost works like the back of like a picture frame or something like that. Alright, so the wiring here is pretty straightforward. Black to black, white to white, and then what I'd call your brass to brass. So you slip your wire around it, give it kind of a half a turn, nothing too major, because these plastic wire nuts are gonna spin that wire around for you. And once you kind of hit to where you feel that stop and it starts to twist both of your wires together, go ahead and give that another twist or two. You can twist the wires around each other to kind of give it a little more something to hold on to whenever you're doing like I am and kind of letting it hang there. Should be fine to do this. This is how I always do it. I mean, it doesn't look too good to let it hang from your new fixture, but I'm not going to say I recommend it, but I do it often. Now on your ground, you do kind of have to wrap it around a couple more times because it is so thick. Just go ahead and wrap it around your ground to ground. Wrap it around a couple times and then put your wire nut over that and you should be good to go. Now when you're going, you kind of persuade your wires to go back up in there. They don't have to be perfect. You got a little wiggle room with your fixture, but for the most part you just kind of stuff them up in there. Now on this fixture, it is the same width as my original bracket, so I don't have to actually use the bracket that came with this. So I got kind of lucky there. It makes it a little bit easier when you're lining your holes up. So as I was saying, I got lucky on this one. I didn't actually have to use the supplied bracket that came with this. It looks like this. My recess mount actually lined up correctly with this light, but now if yours doesn't, you can use this bracket which you'll attach to your recess mount, and then your new screws will go here on your slide mount. That way you've got a lot more adjustment here in those adjustment holes. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave this. So basically it's a larger hole that slides into a smaller hole. It's kind of a recess, so you'll kind of put it up in there and give it a little twist, and that'll kind of lock it in place. So I got it just like that for now. I haven't tightened it up because what I want to do is I'm going to put a bulb in there, flip my breaker back on and make sure it works before we button everything up. Alright, so now that we've verified the light is working, I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up against the ceiling. One thing that I will add is when they ship in the bulb holder here that you screw your bulb into, sometimes when you put your bulb in there, they'll be sitting right up against your housing. You can kind of flex this thing a little bit, be easy with it, but it's on a little metal bracket, so just kind of flex it down to where it's not actually touching the inside of your housing. The new LED bulbs, they don't get as hot as your regular bulbs do, but it's still a good idea not to have that right up against your housing. So now we're going to go ahead and open up our glass enclosure. That kind of finishes everything off. So basically you'll just, like I said, it's made like a picture frame kind of. These brackets just kind of flip over to the sides. Every one of them's different. Some of them just have a screw on the bottom. It just depends on if you got like a globe top or what you have. This one is made like this, so put these on here just like that. And we're finished. So the next thing to do is just go ahead and try it again before we put all of our tools up, and should be good to go from there. Thank you for watching.